Welcome back. There are still mixed emotions about the COVID-19 vaccine. New research suggests that implementing mandatory vaccinations in the workplace might be one way to get people to vaccinate. But very few people approve of compulsory jabs. For a more detailed explanation on the study findings, we are joined by the University of Cape Town's Katherine Eyal. A very good morning to you, Katherine. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to start here. Vaccine hesitancy. Would it not be perhaps a case of complacency now that, even though some people may have not gotten the jab, they feel the numbers are quite low? To some extent, some might even say COVID-19 is a thing of the past. Why bother?
Yes, so very definitely we are seeing in our data that there is very few people think that it is of high risk, that they will die in, that they'll get very sick or die in the next year for COVID-19. They're not too worried about that. And when I say very few, I'm saying about 10% definitely believe that that's a worry. And then the reverse, we have far more people who are concerned about it being harmful to them, about it might actually kill them. We still have very strong beliefs. And most importantly, I would say, one of our many findings is that people do not think it's effective, and that is concerning. We have more than 50%, and the number is even higher, but who don't think that the vaccine actually works or will prevent death. So, it's not just a question of complacency in terms of the risk. It's a question of, do you believe that this thing will actually help you?
So is this because we've had the pandemic since March of 2020, at least the confirmation in this country of cases since March of 2020. It's now April of 2022. Maybe somebody has caught COVID-19, has then recovered from COVID-19, has still not taken the jab, and they feel, what's the point? I've been hit by this thing. It has not affected me. It has not hospitalized me. So why should I go out there and get the jab if seemingly my immune system is strong enough? Is it maybe then, as you mentioned, not a case of complacency, but a case of my immune system is strong enough, so why am I getting the jab?
So that definitely comes up as one of the beliefs when we ask direct questions about, are you vaccinated? Why are you not vaccinated? People perceive that they are low risk. Definitely, the figure I recall specifically, 65% of people think that their body is strong enough to resist, to not get badly ill. And then we've also got some traditional and religious beliefs coming in as well, in which people believe they have a feeling of protection. But very importantly, we've got a small sample of people in our survey who became vaccinated between survey 1 and survey 2. It's predominantly a survey of unvaccinated respondents. But we've got a nice and small slice of data which has told us what might push people over the line. And when we look at all factors and we control for all sorts of different characteristics of a person, like household size or income or a number of other things, the biggest thing that comes up as a predictor of will you get vaccinated or not is, do you believe that it works? Simply. That's the one. The next biggest thing is, do you live with somebody who is vaccinated? So, i.e., social norms are a big thing with that. And what's really positive, it is actually, there are positive things that we've drawn from our study, which is that people who are vaccinated, they are super likely to recommend it to other people. They're most very happy with their experience. They will take the second dose. So there is, we found some positive things, which was great.
Misinformation has been one of the biggest stumbling blocks where vaccination is concerned in this country. Is that one of the things you guys picked up in your studies, that the reasons why people are not getting vaccinated is not because they genuinely don't believe this thing works, but that they've been fed the wrong kind of information, and had they known a bit better, they would be sitting with 2 jabs and perhaps even a booster?
Yes, it is quite likely. So from our vaccinated sample, the next thing which drives down the chance that you'll be vaccinated is, do you think that it might actually kill? So that's our third biggest thing, which is coming up. Then we like to talk about, just a way to label it is dangerous beliefs and mistaken beliefs. And the dangerous beliefs are, yes, it might kill, and that is a huge proportion of people. of unvaccinated respondents for us. But then there are mistaken beliefs, which, for instance, only about 20% of people are sure that it is safe for people, for the babies of women who are pregnant or breastfeeding, and only about a fifth, round about the same, think that it's safe for people with chronic illness. So there's the dangerous beliefs, the efficacy belief, and then mistaken beliefs. And key to all of this, we found that people do not trust the information from government that is coming about COVID-19 and about the vaccine. So that's tricky, and those are very high levels of mistrust. So the implication there is that the information must get out, and we're going to have to get creative in terms of who gets that information out. It must come from trusted individuals.
You mentioned something quite important, that between Survey 1 and Survey 2, there were people that went from not believing in the jab to then having gotten jabbed, which then says something happened between that period. Either the right kind of information was filtered to them, perhaps, they somewhat saw the effects of COVID-19 without the jab, which could have been a thing. What did you guys find to be the most common reason why people went from being adamant to not getting the jab because of whatever reason to then having been jabbed?
So I must go annoyingly academic and just say we must be careful. Number one, it's a pretty small sample. So we can pick up big trends. So the three that I described for you, the efficacy, the living with someone vaccinated, and believing it might kill, those are three big trends, which we believe quite strongly in. And then when you ask people directly, we asked two questions. What was the main reason that you got vaccinated? And then we asked, what was the main thing which changed? So those are slightly different. Main reason you got vaccinated, to protect myself against COVID-19. So people are feeling that, okay, I'm coming now and I must protect myself. So we saw that people were worried about the rise in cases in December and January. So that was the one thing. And then the other thing which jumped out fairly strongly is that a lot of people said they got vaccinated because of mandates, and not just job-related. And the job-related ones, it wasn't just to keep your job. It was also it was also because people were looking for jobs and they perceived that it might be an advantage or that it might be required. But to be very clear here, those are two separate pieces of analysis, where the three factors I mentioned, those come from a more sort of sound statistical analysis where we're taking into account all factors. The others are specific one-off questions where, we have to basically, to summarize, we have to look carefully at both of those. And for the mandates, and I know everyone's interested in mandates, we have a lot of hope in mandates. And when we asked the unvaccinated, this was very important. The unvaccinated, very many people are against mandates. And then ask people if they'll work. Very many people think that they will work. So that was an interesting one.
Yeah. Katherine, thank you so much. Time, unfortunately, is against us, but it definitely is interesting, what it is you get to realize just from a survey and from conversing with different kinds of people in this particular situation we find ourselves in, because the pandemic is still real. We are supposedly going into a fifth wave. So it is both concerning that there are people that feel like COVID-19 jabs don't work, but it is also encouraging to know that, you could go from Survey 1 with people not being into jabs, and then you go into Survey 2 with people having gotten jabs. So it is incredibly encouraging. But thank you so much for joining us this morning on the South African Morning. That is Katherine Eyal from the UCT School of Economics.